This the Black Powder Podcast. Kick up your feet, lean on your armrest.
I'm Samantha Mack, and what do I do? I am volunteering for everything that is fun and amazing in life, and that has led me into motorcycles and firearms and weapons of all kinds and movies. And I keep saying yes when opportunities are handed to me, and so I am now actively training to do stunts. So,
Nice.
yeah, I went from being, the girl who can't leave the house without eyelashes and lip gloss on to the girl who's like, okay, what kind of ammo are we shooting today? So big flip flop.
Hey, personal evolution is a good thing, you know. And plus, you look at your resume in the future. You'll probably be one of the few people that can actually get away with the resume that looks like a giant a thesaurus or something.
For
Versus
real.
like, yeah, one page. Nah, we doing books, volumes up in here.
Well, as I meet new people, conversations come up and I'm like, oh yeah, when I used to do blank, and they're like, wow, you've done a lot. I'm like, I'm shockingly old. I'm shockingly old. So I've had a lot of life experience, but I've also like started building my resume very young. Like my parents were always like, is that going to look good on your resume? And so that pressure was always there. And so I took like mediation training when I was 10 years old because I was like, this will
Oh,
look good on my resume when I'm 20. And so I tried to learn Japanese and French because I'm like, this will look good on my resume. And so I've just done a whole ton of different things because one day I want my resume to look good. And ironically, I've never had a normal job. I've always worked in entertainment or aquatics. Like I've never had a 9 to 5. So that poor
wow.
resume I worked my whole life towards means nothing.
I mean, if you ever wanted to go back and be boring, I guess it could, do something like, I don't know,
Oh, I'm super
librarian.
overqualified for like, you know, to be a cashier at a grocery store.
What
But I was
agency you tried?
hopeful.
Yeah, be flipping burgers soon. Yeah, just yeah, good luck. Might as well stay interested. That's how I look at it. Because I think with the way things are going nowadays, you got a lot of people that are just burnt out from being employed. And don't get me wrong, got to pay bills and everything, but um, people are just kind of tired of doing the same thing and being stuck in like a system of constraints. So keep doing you. Somebody says it's weird. Okay, fine, be weird. It is what it is.
I
Not
have a lot
saying
of friends
weird. I'm
who
just
are
saying like,
no, but I mean, there's a lot of security in knowing like exactly what your next paycheck is and what it's going to be and how many hours you have to work. I don't ever know that. I'm constantly hustling and taking gigs and I'm kind of all over the place. And so I just tell people I'm like uncomfortably retired. Like I don't do anything. I just say yes when things are cool.
mm,
Um, but it's fun for me because sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down, but when you're up, it's really, really worth it. Whereas I understand people who have those 9 to 5s where they're like, I'm going to get this much money. The government's going to take this much. My bills are going to cost this much. I'm constantly in stress, not knowing any of that, but it's fun because when you're up, life is good.
I, the mentality of that, you're probably going to whenever you're quote unquote officially retired. I think you're probably going to have a really great life because I remember really good friend of mine who used to work with him. When he retired, he stopped being active, and unfortunately, he passed. And I think it was because of the inactivity. So, keep doing what you're doing. Because I
I
think
think
the last thing you want to do
you're
is,
a hustler, like you
yeah,
learn to be a problem solver. And so you're like, okay, I have this new want. I'm going to need this much money for it. How am I going to get it? And you just start to figure things out and you realize that your skills are all valuable and you just do what makes you happy and it leads you towards your goals. And a lot of the world doesn't understand artists and entertainers and people like that, but we're happy doing it this way. And, when it comes to, the end of the world, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. We're really good problem solvers. So we're the people you want in your corner pocket because we're not just going to put the energy in 9 to 5.
yeah. End of the world. Yeah, yeah. We gotta talk. We gotta talk now. So I'll start with the first question. Then, how did you get started in stunt work?
Man, so I've been like movie adjacent for years. The first film I got to be an extra on was, oh gosh, what was it called? The Sixth Man, the basketball film.
No, they haven't
way
yet.
back in the day.
Wow.
Way back in the day. This is a 93 or so. And
Probably.
I got to see how movies were made. I thought it was so cool. And my dad and I used to watch movies and like pick apart how they did things. And we would watch old like black and white films where they would do these practical stunts where it looked like, they were roller skating off a railing, but realistically it was just the way the camera was set up. And so learning about all this stuff, I thought it was really, really cool. It's been interesting, something I've been like just had at my fingertips my whole life. And so being in Hollywood now, I have access to so many friends who are filmmakers, and I was just like, I want to do more. Like I've had the side gigs and I've had the little cameos, I've had the little bit parts here and there. I'm like, I want to do cooler shit. And especially after COVID, when there was a big influx in the internet and every single girl was like, look at me, I'm pretty. I can bounce up and down in a bikini. There was like an influx of women just being bimbos. And I was like, I don't want to be that. And, a lot of my career, I've been the girl in the bikini or the girl in the latex or whatever. And I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm old. I want to do something else with my life. And I don't want to keep pushing this narrative that women are weak or women are flimsy or women need a man. Don't get me wrong. Men are delicious. We love them. But I don't want to be pushing the narrative that like, we're helpless little frail beings are just good to be looked at. And I was like, I want to be powerful. And I started fighting with directors. And I've had like full friendship breakups over this. And I've had directors change the way they write movies now because of this, where I just said, I want to be seen as somebody more powerful. I was like, don't worry, my boobs are going to come with me to set no matter what. I can't take them off. Like this body is showing up, but this body can do more than a strip club scene. It can do more than pop up in bed. Like I can do more than wear lingerie. And they were like, well, what can you do? And I was like, well, actually, by the way, I have this resume I've been working on. I can do this and this and this. And so the cool things that people really jumped on was motorcycles and weapons. And they were like, yo, a girl on a motorcycle is dope, which it is.
Yeah.
A girl, throwing an axe or sword play or shooting firearms is cool. And I was like, I got you. I can do this. And my dad, oh my gosh, first time he ever taught me how to shoot, I was 7 years old. Because my dad's dad, he was a badass, and he gifted the grandkids a shotgun or a BB gun, big long rifle. And it was taller than both of us, me and my brother. And my dad
Wow.
was just like, my mom and dad were like, no. And my dad, being being a police officer, was just like, well, if we're gonna have guns in the house, then not have to know how to use them safely. And so he built a little firing range in the backyard for us, gave us little leaf targets, and taught us how to shoot. And so guns were never scary. And I think that was a really good lesson growing up, is that like, yes, we have these weapons in our house. No, we don't play with them. If we ever have to touch them, it has to be when, dad is watching. And these are the rules to play with them. Otherwise, we're not allowed to. And I remember every kid that came over, I was like, come look at the guns. And we could look at them, but they were like up on this like wooden holder where like they were mounted. There was no way we could get them out. And
Mhm.
and I was like, this is so awesome. And everyone's like, that's so scary. I'm like, it shouldn't be scary. Because here's the thing, like going back to like women being considered weak and flimsy and just, things to look at. When you put the idea that weapons are scary, that's when they start picking them up awkwardly and can do something stupid. That's when somebody's like,
Yeah.
you hand somebody a knife and they're like, ew, that's when you drop it and stab your leg. So
Yeah.
education is so, so, so important. And that was one of the things that was instilled in me since I was 7 years old. And that's something now that I try to like impress upon other people. It's like I had a conversation with a girl yesterday. I go, you don't need a little tiny 2-shooter in your garter belt. I'm like, you can actually hold a real gun. It's okay. You don't have to do something small just because you're a girl. You don't have to do something meek just because you're a woman. Like it's okay to actually learn and be competent at these things. So yeah, I forgot what the question was. That was the rant I went off on. I'm sorry. What was the question? How I got into stunts?
Yeah, I think it was how did you get started in stunt work? But I think there's a pretty good amount of
A very
background back there.
well-rounded answer.
Yeah. And I definitely gotta agree with you because like one of the things that gets kind of annoying about movies where I guess they cast a female lead is like they just make her so they try and make her too much of a badass to the point where it's like, it starts to pull away from the attractiveness of the character, and not like physically, but just like the actual person that they're supposed to be and they're supposed to represent in the film. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Um, I was watching it was a Predator movie that just came out on Hulu and is animated. I think it was called Predator Killer of Killers. And the first scene was like it was a timeline movie, but the first scene involved this Viking clan. They're on a ship. They're traveling to like go get some revenge or whatever, or
Yeah.
revenge or whatever. I mean, there's no whatever. They're getting revenge. Okay, they're on a
Gonna go to
ship.
the store, pick up some revenge or whatever.
Yeah, light revenge, light, skim revenge, whatever. They got it. They're gonna pick it up. But anyway, the leader of this Viking clan is a woman, and it wasn't like she's sitting here saying, "I don't need all these people. I can do it on my own." No, she was like, "This is my family. This is my kin. They all follow me. I don't have to push my ego or anything forward. We're all locked in on this one mission." And that was one of the most badass characters I've seen in a minute because there's a scene where they walk up to the little compound where the enemy was at, like they just straight walk up to it and knock on a door. And the dude opens the door up. He's like, "What do you want?" And she just goes berserk. I mean, that was like you got to watch it. Just on Hulu. I hadn't seen a scene like that in a minute, and my girlfriend was just tripping out. She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." They did her character good. Um, and then you got like the Ellen Ripley and the Sarah Connor development of character, where it's like they both started out as like, "I'm going to type on my computer and everything's going to be okay. Oh my God, a giant alien and a giant robot." And then they just said, "Okay, fuck this. I got to learn how to fight these things." And you look up, and not only can they sit at the facts, but they can, kill thousands of these machines or aliens or whatever. And then, like, that right there, that's how you do a character. Just my opinion, because don't just throw it out there and expect me to like understand it. Oh, in that movie, they gave her a really badass backstory because in order to survive, she had to kill her own father, and her father was like, "Avenge me," and that's why it popped to the story of where it was at. And yeah, just great character development. That's what you got to have in movies, and sometimes you just don't get that a lot nowadays. So I definitely agree with where you're coming from.
You're
But
one of Kristanna Loken from Terminator 3, I want to say.
mhm.
Badass in the film, but in real life, the last time I saw her, we were at Shacktoberfest throwing axes. Like she's a badass in real life, and that's one of the things I love is casting women who are actively like strong and not just acting strong.
Yeah,
It happens both ways in film. Like sometimes people are actors first and learn how to use guns second. Some people are just thoroughly badass and they bring their skills to acting. It happens both ways. Both are good, but I'm sure like I used to watch Baywatch all the time. And
yeah,
I loved Baywatch growing up, but I was also part of the National Lifeguard Service. And I would sit there and be like, that's not how you do CPR. That wouldn't work. That's not an airway. Like just criticizing the show over and over and over again. All like loving Pamela Anderson running in slow motion. But I was like, dang, like who's the first aid supervisor on this? But sometimes you don't need those things for the storylines. And like, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, but like that's one of the things when we're using fake guns on set. When you have a rubber gun, you can't cock it. And you're like, wow.
yeah,
Or the gun has like infinite bullets in it. And you're like, there's no such thing as a 74 magazine. Like,
yeah.
what are we
So the
doing
cheat codes
here?
don't work. I thought they were real.
Yeah. But yeah, that's this movie magic. We have to send things off into fairy tale land and just let it be. But there's definitely like it's so helpful to actually know what you're doing before you just play in a movie. You know, like the people who are doing weapons training, the people who are studying sword play and then doing a sword fighting scene are incredible. And that's why we have stunt doubles instead of letting the actors do it because most people are just gonna be like, haha, haha, now what do I do?
Yeah,
So there's a time and place for everything, and there's a budget unfortunately that really tells how the story is going to be told. But I've been really lucky that my friends have like let me slip into some movies where the things I do know, I've been able to do, and not for a lot of it I've had to fight for it. I was offered a strip club scene in a movie, and I was like, no. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll be in the strip club, but I want to be something else. So I ended up in the fight scene at the front door as the door girl, and I was working with one of the guys from the Power Slap TV show.
Ooh. Yeah.
Slaps for Cash is his nickname. And he ends up trying to slap the main character, and I have to dodge his slap. And it's a dope scene, but it never would have been created if I wasn't fighting to be more than like a dippy, vacuous woman in a strip club scene. So I just think that letting women be powerful is important. I'm on my high horse about that these days. That's my theme.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I get it, especially like I think I might have mentioned this to you in chat a while ago, but it was like when my mom was actually trying to find a firearm a long time ago. And I'd read about it, but I'd never come across it in real life. Um, so we went to the pawn shop, and of course, pawn shops got like a random variety of people who's going to try and sell you stuff. And she was looking at the firearms, and of course, this stereotypical kind of FUD dude walks up. All he needed was like the tobacco and a cheek. He's like, little later, you need a revolver. Like, why does my mom need a revolver? I mean, why? It's like, don't stop her, my mom will shoot. Is that what you want? I mean, is that what's supposed to be going on here? But it's like you said, just because um you're told that you need to do this before you do that doesn't mean you necessarily have to follow it. You got to figure out what your own path is going to be and break the stereotypical tropes of everyday life, especially for women, because like honestly, from my perspective, it gets kind of old hearing some people talking about, well, you're supposed to do this because you're a woman. Like, well, hey, have you not been paying attention to what's been going on lately? Especially with like
Well, and one of the things
recent crime.
one of the things too is like I grew up, in a smaller town. I spent a lot of time on a farm, and I was always, like in the third row in the class photos, which means I was the biggest girl there. Like I got to stay with the boys in the back row. I was no good at basketball, no good at volleyball, a lot for lack of trying, but like having size as a girl in a small town goes against everything you're taught. Like I'm not saying my parents never like impressed anything on me. My dad always raised me like one of the boys in the neighborhood, but it was the general concept back in like the 80s was, you need to learn how to cook, you need to clean, you need to dress a certain way, or a man will never like you. You weren't allowed to go out and play and get dirty and climb trees because that's not ladylike. And so me being the biggest girl in the classroom all the time, I got to go do those things. When dad needed help carrying Gyprock into the house, it didn't matter that I was a girl. It mattered that I was the biggest and strongest person available to help him lift it. And so I think having that as part of my youth helped me really, even though so much of my career has been based on like feminine ideals, it's really helped me kind of stay grounded as to like who we are as people, how we can be beneficial to society, what our skills are, and not just to put myself in a box that I'm told to. So I'm just grateful that I'm allowed to be in this space right now where I can do dope stuff, and I work with so many women who are pros at what they do. Henriette Ballant is one of my favorite motorcycle riders. She rides with Team Kawasaki, Monster Energy. She is phenomenal, and she's just the sweetest thing. Like she just wants to worry about her skincare, and she's got the best hair. And I'm just like, how are you such a picture of femininity, but like one of the dopest freestyle stunt riders in the world? Like, what? And she's like, yeah, you fall down, you break a bone, you get surgery, you get back to it. And I'm like, this chick is hardcore. I love her to death. And I'm so glad that I have like speed dial access to women like that in my life, because I realize a lot of girls don't. There's a lot more small towns out there than there are big cities, right? So you don't have access to I have access to stunt performers and actors and directors and everything, like right down the street. Like, I can spit and find a screenwriter in this town. But in small towns, it's still very much like, well, do you make a good apple pie? Because what good are you going to be to a man one day? Like that concept is still out there. And being in the city, I don't have to fight that anymore. I can just be like, no, I want to be a badass chick. And they're like, okay, cool. You go over here. And so I end up in a room full of other badass women, and it's inspiring and it's motivating. And if I was still in a small town, I would probably be on a farm with 6 kids and trying to figure out how to make apple pie still. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I was raised the way I was raised. I'm grateful now, not back then, but I'm grateful now that I was a bigger, stronger woman in most settings. So I got more opportunities than the smaller, more petite women that I was hanging out with. So it's lined me up for this really cool life that I ended up having. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. Gender roles, schmender roles. Women can do whatever they want, and I'm just continuing to push that narrative.
Getting where you fit in. Sounds like you found it. So here's a good one for you. What kind of physical and mental training goes in preparing for a stunt heavy career?
Everything.
Mm.
Everything. So one of the people that I trade with on Sundays is Jason Britton. Also Team Monster Energy, Team Kawasaki, No Limit Power Sports. He is one of the iconic like grandfathers of stunt riding. He's phenomenal, but he also has a very athletic background with MMA fighting. But he's in his 50s now, dare I say his late 50s now, and you see him stretching before he goes out and practices. Before even practice, you stretch, and he's got the ab roller, and he's out there isolating his core first and making sure that his body is right before he even turns on his bike. And
Wow.
so when we're doing a lot of training for whether it's motorcycle stunts or throwing axes or whatever, you have to go right back down to the core. And so your stretching is important, your flexibility is important, your endurance is important. And the one thing that I was asking, because when we spot each other on motorcycles, someone's running alongside the bike, just keeping it steady while you're doing, an inverted trick or a no hands trick, or you're standing on the tank or whatever. There's usually a person standing nearby just to grab the bike in case something happens. The last thing you want is the bike going off on you, going
Yeah.
across 3 lanes of traffic. So I kept asking, how fast is that bike going right now? Because that's the speed that I set the treadmill to when I train. Because I don't actually need to run, faster than a Terminator because, movie magic for that. But I need to be able to train efficiently. So if I can't run as fast as the bike can go when it's training, then I can't do those training skills. So it's not about really before we can talk about how hard the stunt is and training for the stunt, we have to talk about training for training. Because what good are you if you can't jog alongside the machine you're working with? What good are you if you've got a weak core and your abs can't hold you up when you're hanging outside of a car? Training for the training is step one. And I think it sounds like maybe a little textbook or a little cliche, but it all comes back down to those core things. Are you eating healthy? And is your digestion healthy? Because a lot of these times you're suited up and you can't go have a bathroom break. So you can't have tummy girdles. You got to make sure that everything's working, because once you're suited up, you're suited up. And so it all comes down to that core. Are you fit enough to consider practicing to do the stunt in the future?
Wow. Honestly, that's funny because I never would have thought of it like that. Because the average person is going to be like, okay, cool, they're going to go try to do a stunt, but it makes a lot of sense trying to train and make sure that you can maintain the pace with the motorcycle and lift yourself up from the motorcycle whenever you're inverted and everything else. I never would have thought of it like that, and it's so
Well,
simple.
one of the easiest ones is first stunt I ever did. I jumped off a three-story platform, and what you don't realize is that you have to run up that 3 stories 10, 20, 30 times in a day. That's the hardest part. Jumping off a building is easy. The simple part.
Yeah,
It's climbing those stairs repetitively all day long is the challenging part. And you have to ask yourself, okay, anybody can throw themselves off the high diving board, right? Anybody can just throw themselves into the air. That part's simple. Can you get up there? And how many times do you have to get up there just to start practicing to do it once on film? And when you're landing in those big airbags, they start to kind of deflate as soon as you're on it. Walking on air is probably actually the hardest part of the whole day, because once your foot goes down, the whole thing starts to go down. You got to get your other foot down in time, and you got to get yourself off to the side. There's one exit area, or else it can collapse on you, or not collapse on you, but you're just on air. You're the heaviest thing there, so it folds into you, and that's that's the part of trained people don't think about. Like it's really cool to see, Batman and the bad guy flying off the building fighting midair, but those two bodies have to land on something, whether it's padding, cardboard, airbags, like they're landing on something. You have to land on another person now and not hurt them. And you have to
Right.
get off of this padded thing that's unstable without twisting an ankle. So
Yeah.
training for the training. And flexibility is such a big one, because I think the most common injuries are like hamstring pulls, twisted ankles or whatever. And it's like, if you don't have the flexibility for your leg to go that high and your leg ends up going that high, I'd rather be flexible enough to do it than have to ice my hamstring for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. Oof.
So,
That
and
needs to be a
all that being
t-shirt.
said, I'm not as flexible as I used to be. I'm not as strong as I used to be. This is all stuff I'm working to get back into now, because
Oof.
now it's important for me. Before it was just, fun. I was competing in fitness competitions and doing all sorts of crazy things. And now that I'm, in my 40s, I was like, okay, I need to take my glucosamine and my glutamine and my magnesium and make sure that I have my iron supplements and my vitamin D, just to make sure that I can go throw myself into something and get up tomorrow and not, do the old lady get up where everything clicks and cracks. And
Yeah. Look,
you got to
I
sit
don't even
inside of
talk
bed
about
and
it.
think about it for a minute before you stand up. We can't be
I
that
don't want
yet.
to talk about it. I just turned 40 this year. I'm like, every single year it seems like there's somebody that's always older than me that's saying, "Oh, you're about to turn 40. What do you see what's going to happen to your back?" And it's like it's always something new every time I have a birthday. So I completely get it. And then all of a sudden you look up and it's like, "Oh shit, it's true. My back will never be the same." And
Thought the same thing. Every year on my birthday, I was like, oh, there's one more thing I can't do, or one more thing's hard for me now, or there's another food I'm allergic to now, or whatever. Every year I was
yeah,
like, something's being taken away, taken away. And then I started, practicing and training with Jason Britton, who's in his late 50s, and Jason Pullen, who is the grandfather of Harley Davidson stunts. And he's in his, I'll say mid 50s, late 50s. I think they're pretty much the same age. And then Johnny Boy also in his 50s. And these men are all the most flexible, the most acrobatic, the strongest. They take care of their bodies, they can do the craziest stunts, and they get up and they don't complain. And if something hurts, they stretch it, they ice it, they take their anti-inflammatories, and they get back out there. And I'm like, I cannot complain about having a sore shoulder today, because there's a 57-year-old man out there doing a handstand on a motorcycle backwards and upside down.
yeah,
And I was like, damn, if he can eat his Wheaties and figure it out, then I can. And so I think that that's been so motivating, is being around older people than me and who are excelling and continuing to excel. They're not like, oh, I'm writing my legacy. It's time for these kids to take over. I'm tired now. They're not tired. They are still raising the bar and setting new records. And I think that's so amazing. And being you were were you made in the 80s? You were made in the 80s. So
85. Yeah,
being made in the 80s, we had a life without the internet.
yep. We did.
People nowadays, kids nowadays, don't know what that was like. And it's easy for them to have a life that is more stationary. And I worry about what they're going to look like in their 50s.
Yeah,
I was saying before the thing started, I grew up and I've survived snowstorms without power for days. I'll be all right. I don't know if our modern children these days would be able to survive and thrive based on their own knowledge and what they can collect and do with their own two hands. I think we're so reliant on Chat GPT and the internet that we don't even people can't write cursive, they can't read analog watches. What happens when you have to rely on yourself? And so I'm super motivated by these people who are 10, 15 years older than me, doing stunts, being incredible, still teaching me so much. I'm such a baby in the stunt world, and they teach me so much, and they're not stopping. And I'm like, I need your wisdom, because you were the one out there developing these techniques before they were put into a class format that I can now go take. You were
yeah,
out there with the cardboard and the duct tape trying to figure it out before we had the safety equipment that is now standard. And so having people like that is so important. I mean, you experience that in the gun world too. That old man who's been a retired, police officer or retired from the army for years and years and years has those small techniques and like modifications he makes to his grip or to his gear that make all the difference. We need that wisdom. We need those people. I think
Yeah.
those are the people that make us better. Like ChatGPT can only teach us so much. We still need to rely on the wisdom of the people who are physically out there doing it and excelling.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with that. And it makes a lot of sense. And I can say that some of the good things about people that come from our era is the fact that there are still groups that are trying to pass that down to the youth. Be it like Big Brother Big Sister programs, or like just well what we used to have a long time ago when the neighborhood would get together. Now we don't have too much of a knit neighborhood anymore, but there are some people that are still willing to take the younger generation under their wing and say, hey, look, this is what you need to do in order to make sure that you can look like this whenever you turn 50, or you can have more financial stability, or just whatever. So it's nice to see that it's still there, but it's still kind of like a small niche group. And with any luck, I'm hoping it'll grow and we'll be able to see what the future's going to look like and have more positivity than we do now. Or maybe it's just part of getting old. I mean, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure our parents were like, if you call this music, this isn't music. Just they had their thoughts about us. We came out
Mhm.
okay-ish, okay-ish.
It's sure, all right.
Yeah, it's that water hose water. It helped out, but
But I
it's
just bought a water filtration system this morning because I was like, what do we have to start drinking from the water hose again?
yo, yeah, yeah. So what I would like to do, and since I live in Georgia, there's certain counties that won't let you do it. Well, quote unquote, won't let you do it. Is collect rainwater,
Why don't we allow
and
people to do that?
yeah, it's crazy. They're like, oh, because it cuts down on the amount of water that a neighborhood gets, and grass can't be water. I don't know. It's politics or something. Uh,
It's literally falling from the sky, and we can benefit from it. Like, I mean,
yeah.
my grandparents collected rainwater at the side of their houses. Like, it was commonplace on the farm. Like, when you need a water resource, you got it. But I don't know why that's a thing. I don't know why you would stop somebody from collecting rainwater.
Well, there's also a science behind it too, because well, quote unquote science. Yeah, like we can't filter water, but they say that I think after a certain amount of time, the germs in the clouds start coming down, and okay, fine. If that's the case, if that's the thing, right? And I'm willing to collect the water myself and filter it myself. That means that I've already accepted the consequences or rewards myself. So I don't really see what the issue is. I don't get it. But there's probably some type of dollar amount behind it or whatever. It's above my pay grade.
Money runs everything, I'm sure.
Shoot, you're lying about that. Also, you need to get that T-shirt. Training for the training. Should be one of your T-shirts.
Oh yeah.
What was the most intense or dangerous stunt you've ever performed, and how did you mentally prepare for it?
I haven't done a ton of stunts. I haven't done a ton. I'm a baby in the industry. I've just done a couple. I've got a couple cool movies out. Um, I think the actual most physically dangerous thing I ever did was the jump off the 3-story building. Um, because so much could technically go wrong if you're not listening. Um,
Mm.
but at the same time, you just don't think. You're just like, I want to do this, and you learn and you do it. They tell you to look to the sky. They tell you where to tuck your chin, and that's the most important part is protecting your neck. Um, and you just follow the instructions and you do it. If you are nervous about it, don't do it.
Yeah.
I did a ton of fire shows back in the day, constantly lighting ourselves on fire. I think the worst one was one of our fire wands was made out of cotton, and it had fallen apart and it needed to be fixed. And I was like, I'll go fix it. And so I went to the store to go buy like a cotton pillowcase that we could shred up and wrap around the end of this baton to make, a good torch. And I was standing there looking at them and I was like, oh, that one's on sale. And I grabbed it and not realizing it was a polycotton blend. And so as it started burning, little pieces of like melted plastic fiber were falling off and it fell into like on your skin and would like leave marks on your skin. So that was the worst like mishap that ever happened. Thank God that's the worst mishap that ever happened. Nothing, knock on wood, that nothing else happened.
Yeah.
But that was just like me being super like distracted and not thinking straight and just like, okay, here's my options. Oh, that one's on sale. I'll buy it. Not reading the fine print because
Mm.
you have to put your equipment together as safely as possible. And that was one where I failed miserably. I ended up burning a girl named Sugar because she took the wand and she was like, I have this. And then she went to light her arm and then it like melted into her arm, just little bits. So she's little
Ooh,
freckles from the end.
Jesus.
She's never let me live it down. But I learned my lesson. So now I really, really read like absolutely everything now because I'm like, you don't want to hurt yourself, but you definitely don't want to hurt somebody else. So
Right.
she has those little Samantha Mack freckles on her arm forever.
So we're gonna add custom tattoo work to your resume. No, I'm kidding.
I used to do tattoos. That's on my resume. But no, I think the most recent one I did was just technically kind of hard. There's a lot to think about because I was on my stock motorcycle. I wasn't on a stunt bike. So when I am on the throttle, as soon as I take that hand off to shoot a gun, the bike slows down and will stall. And so we're circling this van. It's in a movie called The Workout, which is just a dope action smash 'em up, beat 'em up movie. And we're circling this minivan and we're blowing out the windows. We're shooting it, and there's two stunt bikes in front of me, and then there's a stock bike behind me. So I know that she can only speed up and slow down as much as I can. So I was setting the pace for her, and I'm trying to shoot right-handed to my left. So I'm shooting across my body. And
Yeah.
I'm doing all clutch control. So my bike's got to go fast enough to go into the turn and then all clutch control to go out of the turn and then keep going because it's a long cargo van. So you got a little bit of speed, slow down for the turn, a little bit of speed, slow down. And I don't have both hands, so I can't like, skid around the corners because I'm shooting a gun at the same time. And I'm trying to shoot it right-handed. And then I was like, because I thought that this would be the easier way to do it. And I was like, dang, I have to now switch hands and do just all throttle control and brake control and hope that I don't like miscalculate and have to grab the clutch last second because I'll have to ditch the gun to grab the clutch before the bike stalls
Yeah.
out and spits me out. So that was just really technical because I wasn't on a stunt bike. If I was on a stunt bike, I could have just set it and it would have just gone at a consistent pace. And then my hands could do whatever they want. But because I had to worry about throttle control and clutch control and brake control and firing a gun at the same time, it was just really a lot of like thought. And there's a bike right on my tail. So if I stop, she's hitting me. So that was just a lot to think about. There's a lot to consider in that. And you're trying to look real while you're holding a rubber pistol that does this. So you have to hold the gun in such a way that your hand is trying to stop the muzzle from flopping back and forth and still look real.
Yeah.
And then you've got to like fake recoil and like all those things. Like you can't rack the slide because it's just a hunk of rubber. So that was tricky. And that was just more like, okay, what's my priority here? Is it speed? Is it making these corners look tight? Is it shooting this, where the squibs are going to go off? Like there was just so much to think about. And then the bike in front of me is supposed to low side and then I have to go around it. So I've got to watch for him crashing and not hit him. So it's just a lot of things going on. Nothing bad happened. It's a great scene. It's dope. It makes it to the trailer. I'm happy. But there's just a lot to think about there, just mechanically about what's going on. Because at the end of the day, if you fall on a motorcycle, that's a 500-pound machine landing on you.
Yeah. There's that too.
So even if it's slow, it's 500 pounds slow is still hard.
Yeah.
So that was really tricky. If we could have circled to the right, potentially you could have shot to the right a little easier, but it's more common to circle to the left. And, like sometimes the person coordinating the stunts, especially when it comes to motorcycles, they're just like, oh, we want a motorcycle chase. They don't take into consideration like what kind of bike we're on, what kind of tires we have, what kind of ground there is. Because originally the ground was covered in like loose gravel. And I'm like, our tires on these street bikes will just slide. And so we had to sweep the whole area up ourselves first. Like there's a lot of things that come into play. So I think motorcycle stunts, now that I'm talking about it, is probably the hardest because there's so many variables. But then the people who create the stunts and write the storyline usually have never ridden a bike. You know, so they'll tell you stories like, oh, you're gonna ride this bike and you're gonna pop a wheelie and shoot off pistols in both hands. We're like, okay, technically could be done, but like, how do you get your bike up if you can't use your hands? And like, we need to control the brake. So it's a sit down wheelie now because you have to control the brake with your foot and you're shooting, but you're upwards. Like, what are we shooting at? Like just to the side? It's like, sometimes logistically it doesn't make sense. And you have to explain to like the writers, the choreographers, like, that's not how this machine works. And sometimes they
Yeah.
just tell you just figure it out and you just shut up and just do it the way you want and they don't know the difference. Other times they're like, why didn't you do it as it was written? And we're like, well, because that goes against science. Physics wouldn't allow me to. So,
Yeah.
but they're always cool. Stunt coordinators are always like, your safety first, no matter what. If they have to rewrite it, they're down to rewrite it. So that's the one good thing. The stunt coordinator is your advocate. They will stand up for you, like to the director and the cameraman. They will always stand up for you and be like, this is not safe. Like we had to sweep all the gravel. We stopped for an hour and swept the entire parking lot where we were doing this stunt because it was safety.
Nice.
So I love that. That's always, nobody wants to have an injury on their set. That's number one.
Right.
They all want to have a badass fight scene. So it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's fun. It's so fun. And that scene was supposed to be for male bikers, and I fought them, and I was like, can it be girls and guys? And what's the difference when you're wearing a helmet? And so they let it be 2 girls and 2 guys, and I was like, yes, finally. So, and then they credited me in the movie as like the girl in the strip club. They didn't credit me for the motorcycle stunt. I was like, no. So
that's jacked
I
up.
show the trailer. I go, that's me. That's me. That's me.
They couldn't. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's grimy.
Well, they get more popularity out of saying, you know, Samantha Mack was in the film as, you know, a character. They'll get more attention for that. They're not going to get attention for me like, oh, Samantha Mack zipped up to her neck with a helmet on. You can't tell it's her. Like for them advertising their film, you know, they're not going to get my fans' attention that way. They're going to get, you know, my fans and followers watching because I'm in a tank top in a strip club. So
I guess
I roll my eyes at it, but it's the way the world is. So
yeah, I get it. Man, still, I mean, I'm over here just thinking about how you're describing a stunt, and I don't know if you remember that meme where there's the lady in the background and there's like all these mathematical equations going towards her face and everything. Yeah, that was me. I'm like, okay, I'm with her. What the hell? Wait, how did she do that? I don't think gravity works that way. Okay. Badass stunt. Go watch that movie.
there's a lot going on. Yeah, and that movie is so dope. It was made, the director had a year, you know, we've had like the strikes in Hollywood and whatnot. And he was like, this is the first year I haven't had a film. And he's like, I'm just getting my friends together and make one. And so investors hopped on. He got a micro budget. We ended up making this feature-length action film that has gone off. It's on the film festival circuit, I believe, right now. I don't think it's on streaming yet, but the 2 lead actors, one is from NCIS and the other is from General Hospital, and they both wanted to expand their resumes and do an action movie. So this is how it happened. They were like, you know, they're very qualified, amazing actors individually, and they were like, we need this for our resume. And so because it was a collaborative effort of friends, we were all able to kind of put our 2 cents in and create this really dope film that benefited all of us. And that's where I like put my foot down and was like, well, I want to benefit too. Give me a stunt. Give me something to do that's not just being a girl with boobs. So in the end, we all won, which is amazing.
That's what's up. And I'm glad to hear you keep pushing that too, because like, and I get the credit thing, but still it'd be kind of cool like if they would have said like mystery motorcycle bike woman.
Motorcycle stunts, Samantha Mack. Like I just want that so badly. I'll have to go and fight for it. I can get it. I'll just have to. It'll be a conversation over and over again until it happens.
I think you're gonna get
the movie I did before that. Was that?
I said I think you're gonna get it, and you know, just keep pushing for it. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, the movie we did before that was called Darkness of Man, and it stars Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I'm in the intoxicated hotel room scene, of course, but also I sold my Escalade to that film because they needed to flip a car, and I was trying to get rid of my Escalade anyways. So that's where I hooked up with the stunt coordinator, because I sold them my vehicle. We had to reinforce the entire inside, make it look like a go-kart on the inside, basically.
Mhm.
And then we flipped it by like riding it one wheel up a ramp, and we were supposed to just land on the side, but because my Escalade had been like lowered by cutting the shocks or cutting the suspension, it was so low to the ground that when they went to go flip it or flip it onto its side, it ended up rolling. And we were on a
Oop.
back movie lot, like very Hollywood style. Everything was taken care of. We had to get the water truck and its winch to like roll the truck back over to its side to finish the movie. But that was really my introduction to Hollywood stunts out here, because I provided the vehicle for that film. I got, cameo in the film with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which is awesome. And then I got to learn about how they actually manipulate vehicles for these crash scenes, how the driver is safe, and like what kind of like driving techniques there are. And so at that point we started talking, and I was like, well, I want to do more. I want to do more. And he ended up being the stunt coordinator for the motorcycle scene that I did in the next movie.
Nice.
So they always say like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And yeah, all of that's true. It's a little bit of both. But I just knowing the right people who are into the same things as you, who will advocate for you. So when you say like, I want to be a woman, I want to be seen as powerful in films now, and there's a stunt coordinator out there who wants, a woman who's eager and teachable, it all works out. But you can't just wish for it and not do anything. You have to take action. So getting myself involved in that first film was so important. And luckily I just, once again, I asked the universe for cool opportunities, and cool opportunities came to me. I was driving my Escalade to a baby shower, and I got pulled over by the cops because I was in a fancy neighborhood and I was a suspicious vehicle. And 3 cop cars pulled me over, 6 cops came out, 3 guns were drawn on me, and they were like, whose vehicle is this? And I'm like, well, I can't have a slammed Cadillac Escalade with blacked out windows? What's wrong? And they were so concerned. It's all chromed out. Like I ended up it was the first vehicle I bought when I came to California, because a director friend was selling it. They didn't need this like, slutty early 2000s Escalade anymore. And I'm like, I need a cheap vehicle. So I bought it and worked on rebuilding it. And I thought it was pretty dope to have a big ass Escalade. And then I was a heat score, and I was like, I can't keep getting pulled over by the cops. This is bad for like my mental sanity. And I was like, I need to sell it. And then the movie was happening, and they were like, well, we need a vehicle to crash, and our movie will be cooler if it's an Escalade. And I was like, sounds like a win-win situation. Let's flip my truck. So the universe has all these like cool opportunities out there. You just have to put intention into what you want. Like whether, I'm speaking about the universe and intention because it's a very neutral way of speaking about things, but whether you're praying for it or you're just actively, using The Secret and just, writing it on your mirror every morning, what you want, you have to just go out and get it. Just put the effort out, and the doors that are supposed to open for you will open for you. And I just got so lucky that that's kind of how I got swooped up into everything. And it's just like a tumbleweed effect after that. Like then I had a Christmas movie. I did 2 Christmas movies after that. I started throwing axes with one of the friends of a friend of the film who does, she was shooting at Tarrant Tactical, and she was sort of teaching people how to throw axes in the back. She's worked with, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name, John Wick.
Keanu Reeves.
She worked with Keanu Reeves and Will Smith, and I mean, through Tarrant Tactical, she was able to work with so many cool people. And so she taught me how to start throwing axes. We start throwing knives and shovels. I love shovels, my favorite weapon. And so I ended up doing a Christmas movie that's in a restaurant where they need something to peg this order to the wall. And I was like, well, I can throw knives. And they're like, no, but like for real? And I was like, actually, I have competition throwing knives. And so I end up throwing a knife into this menu order that goes up onto the wall. And so I got a stunt scene in a Christmas movie, like just because I was like, well, I can do it. And so they were like, well, how can you do it? And so I started showing them the training videos and who I was working with. And they were like, okay. So it just one thing after another. And then you end up being on like all these different types of film sets with actual stunt performers. And they're like, oh, you're eager? Well, we can use somebody eager. Like it's a very closed group of people. Like they only want to hire their friends. But when you have a great attitude and you're willing to like show up when you say you're going to show up and do what you say you're going to do, and you show that you're reliable and that, this is something that you're interested in, they're really open to bringing you into the circle. They're not open into bringing strangers into the circle. Like you have to show that you're enthusiastic and that you want to be there, and that you're not trying to take their job either. Like you just think what they do is cool. And then once you get into the inner circle, you start getting more and more opportunities. But like anything in film, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And making those networks of people who are into what you're into is the key to success, I believe. So it's a lot. But yeah, it's been dope. Like from flipping a Cadillac, shooting guns, riding motorcycles, jumping off a building, throwing knives in religious Christmas films. Like it's been such a crazy trip. And I asked for this. I asked to no longer be the girl who's just vacuous and curvy and bouncing on camera. I want to be powerful. I want to be something that a younger me would look up to. I want to be something that you can talk about at the family dinner table at Christmas dinner. Like I want to be able to tell those stories. I want to be empowering and I want to be motivational. And I was like, how do I move forward? And then doors just start opening. And so the best piece of advice I ever was given was be available. Like you might not be anyone's first call. You're not going to be their second call. You might not be third, fourth, or even fifth on the call sheet. But by the time they get to your number, if you say yes and you are ready, it's going to be a good day. And, if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. But it's the same thing happened when I did the Eminem music video. Like I promise you, I wasn't their first call. I don't know how they ended up getting my number. Actually, I do know how, but they ended up finding me and I was 6 hours north at the time at a motorcycle event. And they were like, no, you're going to want to come down here and sign this NDA and do this job. And I'm like, I don't know. Everyone says that. They're like, no, Sam, sign the NDA and come down here. And I was like, okay, fine. And then as soon as I signed it and then saw that it was Eminem and Dr. Dre, and I was like, I'm on the road. I was in my car so fast, going to work the next minute. I was like, you know what? I'm sure I wasn't their first call. Sure, I wasn't their second call. But they got to me. The opportunity was there and I was ready. And that's all you need in life to go in the direction of your dreams.
That's what's up. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that. Could have said it better myself. I'm like, okay, well, let me ask you the next question. um, there was one thing I was curious about because I think you've done some stuff in wrestling too.
Yeah. I'm old. I've
Okay.
done it all.
So it was when you were talking about getting off I think the pad whenever you did the 3-story jump.
Mhm.
Or was it the huge jump? So you did a jump and you land on the pad. Then you
Yeah.
mentioned something about how you make sure you tuck your chin or not tuck your chin, and I immediately
Yeah.
started thinking about wrestling. I'm like, wow, yeah, it's kind of like
That's very
if
much
you
a
don't,
wrestling thing.
yeah, huge wrestling fan, love it. Made me think of this what's it called, the Styles Clash that AJ Styles does, because it kind of goes against what you're taught. It's like they tell you whenever you take a bump, you have to tuck your chin and everything will be okay. But in this case, you have to do the opposite. You have to look up because if you don't, you're gonna land on your head. And it's like a major neck compression to the point where he actually did it one time to somebody and they looked down and they had a major neck injury. So it
Mhm.
just what you're talking about reminded me of that. And
I've seen people do like moonsaults off the top rope and land square on the top of their head. And
oof,
the whole show stops. The whole show stops. We shut it down. We make it part of the storyline out of nowhere. Get that person to emergency because I've seen I've been involved in wrestling. My partner was a professional wrestler. I was with him for like 7 years. And so I ended up, as a host and MC, I ended up being involved in these shows and I was a valet for wrestlers and I've done some wrestling movies. And so I got to learn firsthand and work with pro wrestlers, which is really, really cool. Um, I actually, right behind the camera, I have a letter from Mick Foley. But yeah, it's uh, wrestling is amazing, and wrestling and stunts go hand in hand. Almost every pro wrestler I know has become a stunt performer at some point because they know how to make it look real and they're not afraid of taking a bump. And the one thing that wrestlers are great for is that they will do it in their underwear. Whereas a stunt performer will be like, okay, I need a back pad, I need knee pads on, I need to tape my elbows. And then they're like, okay, like I'm all done and the floor is safe. And now we're going to perform this stunt and fall down the stairs. A pro wrestler's like, just give me a flip flop and a banana, I'll fall down the stairs. Like, it's
You
like,
want glass or no glass? I mean,
but we jump off the roof, like in the backyard onto a folding table for fun as kids. Like they just don't care. They're just like, we've just learned how to fall and roll. And so in
yeah,
some cases, I think pro wrestlers make the best stunt performers. And in some cases, they make the stupidest stunt performers because they will just accept the danger of it. So, and they get hurt. Man, do they get hurt. I
yeah,
always hated it when my partner had to be a heel because I knew he was going to go home with just like rope burns, slap marks, like he was going to be icing this and heating that. And it got to be intense. If he was a face, he didn't take so many bumps.
yeah.
Same thing, like when the guys got older, they started losing their hair. He still had like a big mohawk. So they would always grab his hair. I'm like, not the delicate ones at the front. I'm like, he has to keep those into his 40s. But I was like, why do they always pull your hair? I'm like, maybe if you shaved your head, like they'd stop pulling it. But I'm like, you want to have that long hair and be the guy with the hair still. But if somebody had actual beef with you backstage, there's little things they would do in the ring to each other to kind of like,
Hmm.
flex on each other a little bit. Whether they would call it throwing a potato when they actually hit each other, or they no sell a move, or I'm giving away all the kayfabe right now. I shouldn't say it. but yeah, wrestling was dope. I've done a ton of really, really cool shows. I did a Jason themed show where I was camp counselor, Camp Crystal Lake. And that was really, really cool. And I had this nude bodysuit with fake pubes on. So when it looked like the camp counselors were, getting busy, I obviously had to die because, I went and had sex. But my little denim shorts came off and my pubes popped out. And everyone's like, we saw her naked. I'm like, you clearly have. So that was probably the biggest show that I was most known for because everyone thought I was actually naked. But I was like, man, I would have had to grow that bush for like 4 years to make it look like that.
Okay,
So
day.
I actually
Yeah,
made it out of like a brown afro wig. I started like cutting off bits of it and gluing it in places, and it was hilarious. But yeah, people thought it was real. I'm like, bless you for thinking I can grow long, thick, luxurious hair like that.
yeah, like a stunt birthday suit, basically.
Oh yeah, fully nude suit. Everyone's like, we saw her naked. I'm like, there's no possible way that you did. I'm like, yes, and all the wrestling was real too.
Yeah,
But yeah,
because you knew.
we did so many fun shows. There's Cobra Kai in BC does just these crazy themed shows. Like he'll do a Nintendo themed show where he'll
Oh,
play
cool.
like a Nintendo storyline on the big screen, and then the characters will actually come out into the ring. He puts a lot of money into costuming. He mixes a lot of burlesque into his wrestling. So there's a lot of characters and theatrics. When the Rock'em Sock'em robots come out, he actually had them in robot outfits. It's so incredible. So we did like a Friday the 13th horror film one, and that was the one I was in, where it was all just horror movie after horror movie after horror movie, where the actual characters started fighting. That was incredible. He's done just the wildest themes, callbacks to the 80s. It's really, really cool. And like I said, like wrestling is just live stunt acting. Like I shouldn't say that because I'm disrespecting the wrestling industry. It's all real, guys, I swear. But they're so talented. They're so talented. And even being in the scene, you never really know what's real and what isn't. Like you never really know if somebody's just gonna like high five you backstage after they just ripped you a new one, or if they're actually
Yeah,
holding a grudge. Like sometimes you gotta walk on eggshells because you never really know what's going on. But
yeah. I
once
mean,
again, an amazing experience in my life.
it makes sense. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's already like a pre-planned ending. It's just everything that goes on before the ending that determines everything. And yeah, I still remember when Stone Cold had two good working legs, and then yeah, first
He might come
time
back. Did you hear about that?
yeah, it was with Kevin Owens. He actually have you seen that match?
Well, I saw last night that they're talking about bringing him back for SummerSlam.
Oh, that's gonna be cool because
They're
like the
talking
last
about
time I
it.
saw him,
They're talking about bringing him back. So,
don't play with me. Don't play with me.
oh, we'll be watching. We'll figure it out.
But yeah, the match I've seen him in before, like he had a full fledged. It was like unplanned, but it was like a full fledged match with Kevin Owens, and the Stone Cold that came up to the ring and whooped ass was not the Stone Cold that we know now. This is like like the time machine went back. He must have been doing some DDP yoga or something because this Stone Cold, he's stomping mud holes and walking them dry. Okay, like yeah, nostalgia. I feel old now. I don't know why, but it. um. So how did you get into firearms training and what drew you into it? Now I know you talked about your childhood with the shotgun and your father trained you, but was there anything that like brought you deeper into it
So
per
most
se?
recently, I moved to California because a lot of my friends out here have guns. They flaunt that they have guns. They talk about, oh, like I bought this gun because I can, because I'm American, and they don't know how to use them. And I was like, I only know how to use the guns that my dad had. Like I knew how to use like a Smith and Wesson pistol, and I knew how to use, our BB guns, shotguns. That's it. I didn't know anything else. And I was like, what if I get into a situation where somebody is careless with their firearm? There was a situation, I was at an expo where a girl put her purse down to go take a photo and a gun went sliding across the floor. And I was like, I need
Wow.
to know how to pick up every style of gun. I need to know how to like check the chamber or every gun. I need to know how to find the safety on every different style. And I need to know how to drop the mag on every single style of gun. Because what if I'm in a situation where a gun goes sliding across the floor? I want to know that myself, somebody intelligent, is able to handle it and not somebody running by going, oh, cool, a gun, bang.
Yeah, yep, that
So
right there.
I was like, I can't be responsible for everybody else, but I can be responsible for the situations that I may or may not be in. I can be responsible for what I do. And so if I have the knowledge to make something safer, then we're in a good place. But once again, if I'm just a vacuous girl in a bikini in a video and I don't know anything, I might be the dumb one that picks up a gun and goes, oh, is this thing loaded? Pow.
Mhm.
So choosing to not be uneducated, choosing to be safe, choosing to be more thoughtful, and knowing that I'm going into environments where people have guns. Like coming from Canada to America, I went from no guns to everybody has a gun. And
So,
I have a ton of friends who have just gone out and bought the biggest, scariest thing they can buy because they're allowed to buy it. And they never train, they never practice. And that makes me nervous. And there are friends of mine who are like, oh, yeah, let's have a shooting range day. Let's all go to the range. And I want to say yes to it so badly. But when you get more than 4 people together who have varying levels of skill, I feel like sometimes the range masters don't watch so closely because you're a group and you guys are talking to each other. So once there's one educated person in the group, they kind of lay off a little. And that scares me because I
yeah.
don't want to be responsible for 6 people who are just fun with their guns. We're in the shooting range. The target comes in, we're assessing where the holes were. We're pointing at like, oh, you missed this one, we got this one. And dude looks at his gun, he goes, I have one left, and then just shoots the paper while I'm like pointing at it. And so I don't want to be in situations like that because those are inherently dangerous.
Yeah.
So when I shoot with people who have less knowledge or experience than me, I don't want to shoot too many of them at once. And because I know I have a lot of friends who have guns just because they can have them, I'm usually cautious to only go shoot with one at a time so I have better control of the situation. Because the range master can't watch everything, right? And there have been times where I've like written messages on my phone and just shown it to the range master because we all have those headphones where you can hear each other, right? And
Yeah.
so I've just showed them my thing and they're like, okay. And they just walked over and be like, hey guys, what are we working on? Yo, that's a cool gun you guys got today. Did you know that you do this? And they just kind of casually talked their way in. And it's just because I felt unsafe. And I was like, I don't want, especially being a woman around a bunch of men, like I don't want to be like, stop what you're doing, boys. So there have been times where I've just texted and been like, bro, this person's all the way new. And they're like, oh, okay. Oh, it's your first time? Okay. And then they kind of intercept the situation a little bit more casually than if I had to said something. So, especially when you're working with somebody who's new and if it's somebody's girlfriend or somebody's wife, like my butting in isn't necessarily like the most well received because some people still think like, oh, you're just a girl. What do you know? So I want to be safe. Don't want to be in those dangerous situations. And so a big part of me getting into firearms as heavily as I am now is just knowing that I'm in an environment where people conceal and carry in California all the time. People will get their conceal and carry and then not train and just have a gun on them because they're allowed to. That's
Mhm.
a potentially dangerous situation. So I just want to be educated. I want to be safe, and I want people around me to be safe. So that's how I got into it. And it's cool, and it's fun being powerful, and it's cool dominating in male industries. Like it's cool being the girl on the motorcycle. It's cool being the girl with the 4x4. It's cool being the girl who can shoot guns and throw axes and throw knives. Like it's cool doing these things that you don't think I can do. Um, it's fun to be in these spaces, and it's fun to inspire other women in these spaces. So it's all fun, but I think my motivation was safety. Like originally, I knew I was coming to California. I knew my friends had guns. I knew that they weren't necessarily as safe as I would like to be. And so I just took it amongst myself to be like, all right, I'm putting myself in this environment for this reason. And
Mhm.
through that, we've been able to go shooting more often. Like I've been shooting 3 times like in the last 4 days already. So, we're in a place where like people want to come shoot with us. They're seeking me out for advice now. And I'm like, this is a safer position than I was in 2 years ago when people didn't come to me for advice. So we're all just living out there not knowing what to do. So it's fun. It's fun, and I'm really enjoying it. And now I've created Pretty Straight Shooter, an Instagram channel just for shooting and for weapons, because it gets me shadow banned on my main page. So turns out you can't be a pretty girl and play with weapons. They don't like that. But if you separate them, the algorithm will lift up both pages. So
Good old algorithm, man.
yeah, I couldn't even post like movie posters that had Jean-Claude Van Damme holding a gun because it was considered like aggressive weapon use and threatening and a danger to viewers. But if I open up Pretty Straight Shooter and all the content is weapons, then it's educational and it's okay. So I was like, all right, I'll play by your games. So I have Pretty Straight Shooter now, which is a great name. My best friend came up with it. I was like, he's like, you should open up an Instagram called Pretty Straight Shooter. And I'm like, noted. And then I was like, well, if I don't just open it and start doing something, it'll just always be an idea. So now I'm actively working towards it. And one of the things I want to start doing on that page is bringing new people and new girls, a lot of the models I work with, to the range and giving them experiences on a variety of different guns. One of the big things I'm working with one of my neighbors now is that she doesn't need a small, like little tiny, like hidden fold out gun because
Like a
she's a girl.
Derringer.
Yeah, right. Like I'm like, you can have a big gun. I was like, actually, the bigger they are, the more accurate they are, and the easier they are sometimes. And she's like, oh, I could never. I'm like, actually, you can. Tuesday, 12 o'clock. So that's one of the things I want to start putting on the channel. I have a YouTube channel for it. I'm not I mean, being from Canada in America, I can't actually own any guns. So I'm at the mercy of my friends, and we're using their firearms all the time, or renting. So all I can do is just be fun, be educational, be supportive, and hope that we all become safer around weapons.
So, okay, do you being from Canada? Okay, that last part. Okay, so you're from Canada. Do you live in America? So, are you an American citizen?
Nope. I have been
Oh, okay,
in the
now it
loop.
makes
I have been in the immigration loop for 5 years now. And so I have paperwork that says that I can be here and that, they've seen my case and everything is going according to plan, but it's not finished. And then, COVID happened. It's not finished. Then the president's changed. It's not finished. And then the president's changed again. It's not finished. And then we had the forest fires. It's not finished. And now we've got this situation. It's not finished. So I've been on hold for 5 years. I have no rights. I can't do anything. I'm a visitor just hanging out. So that's why I say like I'm uncomfortably retired because I'm not allowed to do anything. I can just live here and exist. I can't get a job at Denny's. I can't pump gas at the gas station. Like that was a job in the 50s, not a job anymore. But like there's things I can't do. So I'm just coasting, and while I'm coasting, I'm just racking up that resume. So volunteering to be in films, volunteering to host events, volunteering to MC charity fundraisers, volunteering, to do dinner theaters. I'm just putting myself out there for the day that America finally accepts me as one of their own, and I'll finally be able to go and buy my first pistol.
which is long overdue if you ask me. Because I mean, what, 5 years for this crap,
Yeah.
and you've done it. It's not like you just kind of like snuck in and like, okay, cool, I'm here. It's like you did the paperwork. You've been waiting on the whole process.
Oh, I've got like immigration attorneys, the whole works. Like I've been in the system, photographed, fingerprinted, retina scanned. I had to go when I would get my retina scan and everything done. You have to sign your name Quickly, slowly, fancy, messy. They make you like sign your name a million times. They have every version of your handwriting. It's a really intimidating process. It's super scary because you're like, I'm giving like a piece of my soul to this computer system now.
Yeah.
So they have me in the system. Every 6 months they send me another form saying, oh, we just haven't got to you yet. So everything is prepared for that day where they're like, welcome to America. And I'm not the slowest one. Like I've been waiting 5 years. So people who have waited 10 years.
Jesus.
So I'm just crossing my fingers every single day that, tomorrow I might get that email or that phone call. So we're hoping. I mean, America's beautiful. Of all the places in the world that I could be stuck, being stuck in California is pretty nice, not gonna lie. But COVID definitely stopped everything. Like I got very stuck during COVID when the border shut down, and I was here doing my visa process and doing all my immigration paperwork, and then they were like, "Well, you're not allowed to leave," and I was like,
Huh?
"Well, guess I'm gonna have to go to Disneyland more often." Oh, rough life. Might have to get a suntan in February.
God,
So
that's rough
I'm
though.
as awkward as it is to like kind of feel like a college kid again, where like my whole life is kind of up in the air. At the same time, like I've got amazing people around me, I have amazing opportunities, and I have the free time to develop things like Pretty Straight Shooter and focus
Mm.
on helping other, women and new people learn to shoot and being able to be an advocate for women being strong characters in television and film and plays instead of just always being the vacuous bimbo. So I'm being given an opportunity to like kind of focus on the things that really matter to me at my core instead of just focusing on like, okay, how am I making money today? What do I do? So it's an
You,
awkward position to be in, but we're making the best of it.
True. You really got to reach out to I think I sent her information to you, but Gail's Futuristic Firearms, because she both y'all would like line up as far as goals and everything perfectly. And she's actually looking to interview more people, more women, especially that,
Oh,
yeah, that are involved in the firearm industry. And she does great videos on how to conceal carry as a woman, because like you said, it doesn't make any sense to do the it's a 22 and it should be okay here. It's like, no, you can do more than that. Like she's done like um gym wear, evening wear, basic clothing, dresses, so on and so forth. And
I love that.
there's a lot of other women out there too. One of my, I know she's new, Courtney Shoots, but she's getting like a really big following. Summer Shoots is another one. Um, the one that I remember from probably around COVID time was like what's her name, Yoki Stirrup, I think, and she started out by using like her body and everything to gain attention. So it's like you'd see like a back shot or something, and everybody's like, "What's going on here?" But then she's shooting this giant, 50 caliber gun, and like, I mean, she's hot, but the gun is cool. Like she would
Yeah.
catch people's attention. But
Yeah.
it's just like there's a niche for everybody in the firearm industry, and then, like you said, it's just you find the right people to get you where you need to go, and possibilities are endless. I started out with I started gaining more traction with Shot Show this year. That was my very first, I'd say, very first official firearm convention ever, and something about being there and seeing all the different firearms and seeing all the companies and conversing with them, it was like being at the end goal of where I wanted to be at. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, get as many interviews as I can, do as much work as I can, um, go to get as many places as I can. Because honestly, this month is going to be my last month doing conventions, because that takes a lot out of you. You probably know that already, but Um, what I would like to start doing is traveling and going to different states to kind of start shooting some firearms with a couple of people I follow, a couple of friends, and
Mhm.
get footage for that. So,
Yeah, that's something I really would love to start doing, but traveling is obviously difficult now that we have real IDs. So my driver's license doesn't get me anywhere anymore. But as soon as I can travel again, I would love to start going to different states and shooting with all these people that I've built relationships with now.
mhm.
And one of the things I've learned from growing my other channels is that collaboration is one of the strongest tools that we have. We are all better together. The longer you spend just talking to your own camera and having your own opinions and not having to think outside the box, the more narrow-minded we get. And the
Yeah.
more we start to become unaware of what the actual changes and the momentum of the industry is. We are stronger together. Collaboration is key. We're not competing. I mean, unless we're competing, but we're not, it's not my channel versus your channel. This is the industry growing as a whole. And so finally being in a place where social media allows weapons is a huge, huge help. I mean, for so many years, we couldn't even talk about guns online. So
Sure.
this is a big step forward, and we need to keep the momentum going and continue to like impress upon the next generation, the safety, the abilities, the camaraderie, so that we don't have firearms mishaps. We don't have people being afraid of weapons and mishandling them and accidents happening. That's one thing I always look for at firing ranges is the mistakes. I always look for bullet holes where there shouldn't be bullet holes, or blood droplets where there shouldn't be blood droplets, because I just like to kind of be aware of like what's happened here before. What do I need to look out for?
Yeah.
And 2 nights ago, I was shooting, and there was some blood droplets that hadn't turned brown yet on the floor. And I was like, "Oh, so what happened in aisle one?" And he's like, "Oh, this dude was holding his gun and put his hand behind it, and the slide caught the webbing." And I was like, "Thank God, that is all that happened." And he will
Yeah.
learn; it'll never happen again. But that is something you can heal from. But
I remember I took somebody to the range for their first time shooting, and they put their thumb behind the slide, like they had it right on the slide. Oof.
I mean, I can understand your first time shooting. It kind of looks like that's where it kind of just looks like that's where it fits, right? Like I get it, but I get
Yeah.
worried. We have an MCK that we shoot with, so we put the Glock inside like the micro conversion kit, and it's got finger grooves right below the muzzle. And I
Yeah.
always tell people to watch where their forefinger is, because it might feel real comfortable sitting on that. That's a little half-inch mistake to make,
Hmm.
and I'm always so nervous. Like, don't blow your finger off. And so I'm almost like a nagging mother when it comes to people putting that. I'm like, "Where's your finger? Show me your finger."
Yeah, but I get it though, because like especially whenever you know what you're shooting, because like you said, you want to know how to shoot a variety of things to the point where you'll know what you can and can't do to it. So if
Yeah.
you know how to shoot something, but you're taking somebody else out there to shoot, and you're just trying to make sure that they're safe, it might sound like you're nagging, but at the end of the day, going home with 10 and 10 is a lot better than 9 and 7 or whatever. So
Right? Well, and I remember learning, and I'm still learning. Like, there's so many firearms I haven't shot yet that I'm still learning. Like we were shooting ARs yesterday, and to be California compliant, there's like an extra bolt that you have to pull, and
yeah,
I was getting confused, and I did it in the wrong order. And I have a basic understanding, and I'm getting confused. I can only imagine what a brand new person is feeling. Like, there's left hand, right hand, step one, step two, step three, step four, but only in this state, step five.
yeah,
Like, it's a lot. It can be overwhelming, and it's hard to remember everything.
yes,
But once you get it down, it's a blast. Like now, like shooting bigger guns and bigger calibers, like it's kind of fun to like get a little freaky with it. But in the beginning, like we all started with training wheels. Like we all
hmm,
started on the big wheel. like you got to work your way up to popping a wheelie. But we have to like work our way up to to taking out the dirty hairy guns.
yeah.
But
Have
yeah,
Have you shot a book? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
one of the things I just wanted to draw attention to is I always have long nails, and these are shorter than my normal nails. And I get shit on online all the time for having a bad grip when I'm shooting. And I keep telling people, I'm like, as a girl who shoots with other girls that have long nails and big eyelashes and BBLs, like those things aren't going to go away in our real lives. We have to learn how to shoot safely with those things. And so I am adamant about not making my nails short. Like I usually have long nails with jewels and all sorts of dangly things on them. So these are conservative for me right now. So I was testing out some different guns. So I got conservative nails. But that was one of the things that I was like really pushing on the people I've been shooting with recently. I was like, whatever you do in your day-to-day life, if your goal, most people's goal out here is to get their CCW. I'm like, if your goal is to carry every day, shoot with the way you're going to be every day.
Right.
If every day you're going to be in a tube top and your shoulders are going to be out, then shoot with your shoulders out because you're going to want to know what that brass feels like hitting you, potentially burning you, so that you don't
Yep.
flinch in the moment. And now I'm always in a turtleneck. I'm always covered up because I don't like those burns. But same thing. Like if you've got long nails, learn how to shoot with long nails, because the last thing you want is to have to pull your firearm out and then be like, "Oh, hold on, bad guy. 1 second. Okay, now." Like, if you shoot, if you wear contacts every day, don't wear glasses only to the firing range. Wear your contacts, get used to how that feels and how they might dry out. Like there's things like that that are important. And I didn't really take those into consideration until people started pointing it out. Same thing. Like if you're going to be wearing 6-inch stilettos every day because you're a diva, cover your toes, wear 6-inch stilettos to the firing range and learn that balance. Because last thing you want is to be the girl falling on her ass and breaking her ankle because she didn't know how much power her gun had over her balance. Like, I think these are common sense things that realistically girls talk about more than guys. Speaking with the female range masters, they're with me on it. They're just like, if this is what your real life is like and you want a CCW, then shoot like your real life and be excellent at it. And I don't get to have a CCW. I'm just going to be a hobbyist. So I don't have to take those things in consideration. I don't have to worry about a smaller, easier to carry gun. I can get the coolest, wildest thing I want because it'll always have to be locked up. So my goals are different. But when you think, here's a new person coming to the range, they want to conceal a weapon, they want to be able to shoot and have an everyday carry. What does everyday look like for you?
Right.
Are you going to wear something on your body every day? Do you carry a purse every day? Like these are things that we have to take into consideration. So one of the things that I love is that I have these long, crazy nails. They're just getting longer and crazier. And so shooting with them is important for me. And I'm open to new hand grips, but I've become very, very competent with what I can do. And I know which grips I can't do. And so once again, if I'm ever in a situation where I'm the one who has to hold the gun, I know I'm not going to put my hand in a position that's going to snap my nails off and hurt my fingers. And I'm going to go with what gives me the most accuracy. So I just train. I overtrain with this grip that I use for my nails. And that came from a motivation I had. Was a neighbor was born without a hand. He just has like a palm and then no fingers. And he became a competitive shooter and has won a ton of awards shooting all kinds of firearms without fingers on his right hand. And I was like, if he can carry every single day and he can shoot competently and win competitions every day with 5 fingers, 2 palms, then what am I doing complaining about my manicure?
Right.
And so I dated a fellow who had 1 arm and 1 leg, and he's also former military. The military took his arm and leg, and he shoots amazing competitively for fun with a hook hand and a left hand. And it's just incredible to see like what we're actually capable of. And I see in my comment section a lot, people are like, "Oh, you got to fix your grip's not good enough." And I'm like, did you see my target though?
Yeah, your shots are on point.
I'm
So
I'm doing all right. Like I'm shooting a 1 inch with a 9mm that's 40 feet away from me. Maybe my grip's not the
yeah,
problem.
yeah, with
But I
nails.
realize that like, there are better grips, and I understand like wherever your thumb goes, the bullet goes. Like I get it; those make perfect sense when you have short, stubby fingers. Perfect sense. I don't got that. And in the same way, I think my amputee friend doesn't have that. My friend who was born without a hand doesn't have that. But they're award winning. So we are able to adapt and we are able to adjust our training to what our everyday is. And that's not really a mindset that's shared online very much. People online are like, this is the best way. We only do it this way. And I'm like,
Yep.
I'm going to put a pause on that and tell you there's other ways. And I feel like right now I stand alone on that issue. The other, the women at the firing range, they hear me. We clack our nails. We hear each other. But the general firearm community, it's not something most men have to think about. So it's not something that's at the forefront of their mind. They just see you're doing something that I was trained not to do. I'm going to train it out of you. And so I have to constantly have this conversation over and over again. Like, if I can shoot with these, then we're okay.
I think and I don't know, maybe I've been lucky to come across like just the outliers or whatever, but there's people like I did an interview with this guy over in Texas. He goes by grid underscore TX. And one of his biggest pet peeves, and he started out the interview with this, is the fact that he's tired of seeing the firearm industry, or just like the firearm community in general, not be willing to accept other people for certain things that they may be doing in the industry. You know, not like they're being unsafe or anything, but like, be it like black people, women, LGBTQ, whatever. You know, they just don't want to accept them because they're looking at um, they're using a high point. Okay, and we all know high points are like one of the most cheapest firearms you can go out and purchase or whatever. Cool, but at the end of the day, if that's what you can afford, that's what you can afford.
I think
I
we
definitely,
being accepting is important, but also like you can't we can't judge people for doing the best they can.
yeah,
Uplifting, educating, and supporting each other is going to go a lot further than ridiculing and humiliating.
yeah,
Um,
I definitely agree, because if I can accept the person, but I can't accept that person's bullshit. Because
I
like,
think there's a group I follow in Georgia where they specifically reach out to the LGBTQ community and they like promote their like trans firearm instructors. And they're about it. They're like, "Yep, come shoot here. You're safe here."
mm,
And being in California, we're very much under the rainbow. It wasn't even consideration where I was like, oh yeah, there's a whole chunk of America that is still has very specific points of view when it comes to guns in America and what's right is right. And
mhm,
I was like creating a safe space for gay and trans people to shoot was never something that occurred to me that was necessary because it just happens. But I was like, shit, there's states and cities out there where that's an important flag to wave. Where like, hey, you're safe here. Like we don't care who you are Monday through Friday. You want to come shoot safe here. That's crazy. And once again, like I'm so deep into the Black firearm community on Instagram because the amount of support is incredible. Um, there's some white folks out there with some ideas that I don't like. And so I kind of rabbit holed into this Black firearms community where they're just like, come be with us. We got you. We'll help you. We'll share with you. We'll teach you. We're running courses for each other. Like the camaraderie, the amount that they uplift and educate each other and support each other is so motivating. And I was like, dang, if I had known the firearms community was like this, I wouldn't have been afraid to go to my first firing range. I wouldn't have been afraid to ask for help. I wouldn't have been afraid to go to my first class. But being in different states and being in different areas, like there's very different ideas when it comes to especially firearms. And the idea that like certain people don't meet their standard or certain people aren't allowed to be in certain areas, like it's wild to me. I mean, we even have firing ranges that are very like pro police, military, and ones that are like, no, we're for the people.
yeah,
And everybody has a story, everybody was raised a certain way, everybody's got their ideals, but the welcoming nature that I found on Instagram makes me want to travel to shoot with these people. Like I want to share like my joy of doing badassery with these like-minded individuals. And when you find like-minded individuals, you find your community, you find your tribe, it feels so good. And we can like I said, it's about collaboration. Like we can all grow together,
right,
work better together. And so I'm so grateful that social media is allowing us to have firearms and all kinds of weapons online now, because they didn't always. Same thing with YouTube. Super happy there's
yep,
space now for us to talk about these things in a way that isn't just fear-based and aggressive. It's not, once again, coming from Canada where it's very hard to get guns, right? Guns
yeah,
are bad. Guns are the reason for everything. Like I'm a liberal Canadian in America. It's a wild place to be. Like I'm here for the gay pride parades. I am all about the arts and freedom of expression, and I don't care if you're a he, she, they, them. It's all good. But then being put into America and being in firearms, you don't meet a lot of people like that. There's a lot of different ideas out there. There's a lot of people who oppose my ideas. But the one thing we have in common is, wanting to be able to hit that tiny little dot way far away. And so coming together and finding that middle ground and having open communication is so important. And I think the more that we have podcasts like this, the more that we have Instagram pages communicating about our wants and our needs and our goals and staying focused on uplifting the community, the better we're all going to be and the more well-rounded we're all going to be, because division is going to be the end of all of this. That whole divide and conquer happens real fast. So I'm grateful for your podcast. I'm grateful for this community online. I'm grateful that as a woman, I'm welcome in these places, because let's face it, it wasn't always that easy.
Yeah,
So we're in a good place right now. 2025 might be a little chaotic worldwide, but we're doing okay. And as people, as influencers, as communities in our different niches, we are learning to grow with each other instead of apart because of each other. And that is something that the internet has blessed us with. I praised growing up with a childhood without the internet, but one thing the internet has done for us is allowed us to find our communities and to find our people and to become bigger and better and stronger because of it. So, fuck, what a world. It's a lot. There's a lot, but the biggest positivity I've found has been, thankfully, in this weird place that you'd never know to look. A bunch of people have a bunch of scary weapons and are some of the most peaceful, the most kind, the most funny, the most welcoming strangers I've ever met. And I'm so grateful to have found this community amidst all this chaos, this community that's actually full of peace and acceptance and has guns.
Yeah, I think it just boils down to like the peace and acceptance part comes from the fact that I know what you have, you know what I have. We're not trying to do anything stupid. There's nothing to prove.
Don't start
Um,
no shit. There won't be no shit.
Basically, fuck around, and find out. We ain't trying to do that, right? It's like, this just boils down to treating people like people. End of the day, that's all anybody can ask for. Same thing goes with the firearm community. You got people out there that had that mentality, and like those are the same people I will go out and shoot with. So I completely get it. Um, so when they hurry up and finish your damn paperwork and you're American, what will be your first firearm purchase?
Okay, listen. I've fallen in love with Glocks. I've fallen in love with the Glock. I'm gonna want a 19. I'm gonna want the Radiant Ramjet with the afterburner. I'm gonna want to add a beaver tail to it. I'm gonna want a Timony trigger. Um, my hand isn't really long enough to care about having a magwell or not, but it looks cool if you can get the matching colors. Yeah, that's gonna be my baby.
Okay. Would
So I
you?
have one that I can build right now. I just can't own it, but I can buy the parts for it and I can use it.
Yeah.
And so there's a Glock 19 just casually waiting for me right now. But I think that's going to be the goal. And I'm just watching what my friends are doing and what my neighbors are doing. And I get to shoot all of their guns. I'm so lucky that they let me get my hands on everything. And the Timony trigger is, have you shot one?
I haven't shot one. I've been curious about the ramjet because I saw you shooting it. But what do you think about the trigger?
So the Timony trigger is competition trigger, and it is, I don't know how many lack of pounds it is, but like you blink, it goes off. Like you
Wow.
get to the firewall and you just go, I think I want to press the trigger now. Poof, look, zero effort. It takes getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's a game changer. For an everyday, like it's too easy to hit it by accident. Maybe not the best thing for an everyday,
Mhm.
but I do love the Timony triggers, and I found them by accident. I was looking online for social media, like hookups and connections, and Expert Voice is a program where if you're an expert, you can get deals on all these different types of parts, whether it's camping or pet care or health
Huh.
food or firearms. And so they were supporting Timony triggers, and I was like, well, let's see what this is about. My neighbor ends up getting one, putting it on their gun. I get to shoot it, and I was like, this versus the stock trigger is a night and day difference. Like
Mhm.
one, you're actually pulling with purpose. The other one is a feather. And so I've become very attached to it. And because I don't have to have a conceal and carry, I don't have to worry about everyday use. I'm just at the range. That competition trigger is exactly what I want. The Radiant Ramjet was a whim that one of my neighbors put on their gun a month ago. and with the afterburner. And it was after a million YouTube videos, after watching all these different, scientific tests that people do at the range. And we're like, well, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And within one day at the range, like you don't, the gun still kicks back a little bit, but such a little bit that like, it's almost like the gun is like rocking itself back into position on purpose. Like,
Oh wow.
it's kind of like, it's really interesting, like the way it like pushes itself where it's supposed to be. And I've gotten so used, like I don't even try to shoot the other guns. Like we take 4 with us every time we go shooting. You only see me with that one because it's just such a pleasure to shoot. It takes, once again, takes a little bit of getting used to, all of the air being forced up right where you're looking down the sight. Just takes a second for your brain to like learn to look through it or look around it when you're shooting rapid. But other than that, like it's a game changer. It's just a game changer. I might do the opposite and do a ported barrel on this one just so I have like the experience of both. Because I have nothing to lose, right? Like I don't have to get a gun for a purpose. It's just for fun. So I can put anything on it. So I might do the opposite and do the ported barrel instead to see if that is equally as compensating, but I don't think it's good. So
ported might end up being like a little bit more snappier because I'm a fan of Caniks. I started out with the Canik TP9 SF, which is like one of their basic starter guns, right? To the point where now they came out with what's the Canik Prime, which has actually got a ported barrel, and I think there's what is it called? Like not serrations, but they have the slide cuts for the porting and everything. But most people have been complaining about the fact that it's snappier or it's louder, and I'm like, it's ported and it's a gun. It's
do you
gonna
think
be
it's snappier?
Suppose. Okay, so I actually that reminds me, I got a video I got to put out for it. Because I tried the Canik Executive, which is my EDC. I love that thing. And I did a comparison between the Prime, and it's not that much snappier in my opinion. I mean, that's just me. I still want to get it, but right now with that $600, almost $700 price tag, and the way taxes are and these weird tariffs are going, yeah, it's gonna be a minute.
Because there've been people who let me try the different guns, and I think it was one of the SIGs. I'm not sure which one, but I remember I shot it once, and it was so snappy. I was like, I'm never picking that gun up again. Like I don't like you. I don't want you. You go home with them. Like this is not going well. Nice knowing you. Same thing with like a lot of like 45 cals. I just don't like them because they kick back so much, and I'm like, it's not a fun shooting experience for me. And once again, like I don't have to shoot for anything other than fun. So I know how to use it. I can. It's not something I want to sit there and do for an hour.
That makes sense.
Like this whiplash to my wrist is only so much fun. So yeah, I love the smooth ride that we have with the radiating ramjet and the afterburner. I love how easy it is now. It's like taking your lowrider out on Sunset Drive. Like you're just cruising with that gun. It's nice. So, but I haven't had enough experience with enough variety yet to really tune in like what my dream would be. But I know that I'm happy in that space. Like that space, like I want to go shoot. I want to stay longer than an hour. I want to add time to my range day. Like it's been a blast. A blast.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you know what you want then. Have you shot a bullpup yet?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Not yet.
I recommend it because earlier how you were talking about you want to learn how to load the magazines and drop the magazines, so on and so forth. I have a Springfield Hellion, which is a clone of the VHS2, which is Croatian. I love that thing. It's hard to even go back to my AR platform because it's just something about it. It looks futuristic. It shoots great, and overall, it's just a badass gun. But it has weird placement for things. So, like, if you want to drop the magazine, since the magazine is back behind the trigger action, you have to hit a tab in order to drop it. Yeah, it's weird. It's a cool gun, but it's weird because everything is weird spots.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the hell out of it, and
Okay.
it's hard for me to go back to the AR platforms because of it. Um, you'll probably complain about the trigger because you may think it's squishy compared to like ARs, but that's also because I think most bullpups are actually created to be automatic, full automatics, and not semi. So I think that's why the trigger's like that. But it's an experience. You got to give it a try. You may go back to the AR platform. You may not. I don't know, but I swear by mine. I love it. You also have the IWI to 4, and there's the AUG too. Um, they're all bull pups, but yeah, check them out. Just give one a try.
The one thing I like, I have the luxury of like, I can't get a CCW. So I get to shoot whatever I want. I can create whatever gun I want to create in the end when I'm allowed to buy my own stuff. But
Mhm.
at first I was like, okay, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get like the most badass John Wick, like Terran Tactical to the tits, done up gun. Like it's gonna cost me $4,000 or $5,000. I'm gonna get that one gun everybody wishes they had that nobody can get, just because the world is my oyster. Like I'm just taking it to the range and nothing else. But then I started like really looking into it and I go, is that what I want? Or can I, like with the Glock 19 that I'm shooting right now, it kind of has everything that I was looking at in these name brand guns and these fancy, competitive, custom made by a superstar guns. I was like, oh, I kind of have all the pieces that I like of that though.
Yeah.
Like, do I need to? Do I need to? I don't know. But I'm in a place where like I can try anything. I can go rent anything. I can figure it out. I got nothing but time. So and our range masters who have like phenomenal personal pistols, they all let us shoot their guns because we're there all the time. And so I've been able to really get my hands on and try different parts that professionals have modified for themselves. So I'm getting a lot of inside information that otherwise wouldn't be able to get. So
True.
I'm very excited about that, and I'm always open to learning more. And that's one of the things. One of the reasons I want to go shoot people who are way better than me, because they have those modifications that only they thought of. They have those pieces that they've had for 10 years that they'll never give up, and I want to learn more about that. So I'm just new. I'm just new. I've only been shooting since I was 7. I'm just new. Um, but I've had a limited range of rifles that I've had got my hands on, a limited range of pistols I've been able to play with. So it's for me, it's growth. Like I'm glad that I can shoot fairly accurately. I can shoot better than most guys that I shoot with, most, not all. But now I'm in a place where it's like I have to learn. I can't be stagnant here anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and the
understand that.
cool thing is I shoot with a lot of stunt performers who are doing stunts in movies who are just learning how to shoot now and just getting their first guns. They've been doing movies for years, holding rubber pistols and plastic pistols, and now they're learning the actual mechanics of it. So it's kind of cool to be in that space where I kind of did it backwards to them. And we're kind of meeting in the middle. Like they have beautiful stunt careers and are just learning firearms. And I knew enough about firearms and I'm just getting into my stunt career. So it's kind of a cool place to be, education wise. But yeah, the world's my oyster right now. I got nothing but time and not a lot to do
For now, because
for
what
now.
what I what I hope will happen, because I mean, especially with the way you can shoot already, I really want to see you become a firearm instructor. I think he'd probably be bomb as hell. Is like in regards to training people.
It would
Um, huh?
be so much fun. So much fun.
Well, I can see you doing it. Um,
Yeah.
what is it? Definitely looking to becoming a ranged RSO, ranged safety officer. You could easily do that.
I've been thinking about
Um,
it.
and yeah, actually, I think oh God, what is it called? USCCA, the insurance company. They got an
Mhm.
online RSO course. Actually, I'm still trying to go through mine right now, so that's an option. I don't think you have to be a citizen
Yeah, I
to
can take courses, I just can't get jobs. So
gotcha.
I just learn as much as I can. I'm doing everything I can so that when America says welcome to America, I can just press the button and be like, all right, time to get
Yeah.
my hands
Work
dirty.
out the
Let's
way,
go.
I'm running.
Website's ready, certification is there. Let's do this.
Right.
So I've been really been floating around just trying to like stack that resume, kind of
Yeah.
story of my life, just do what's going to be impressive in the future if the future ever comes. So
Yeah. Have you done
yeah.
any stop the bleed classes or like first aid?
So I came from a first aid background. I
Mhm.
haven't taken a stop the bleed class out here, but I have my OFA of 1, 2, and 3 back in Canada, and I was part of the National Lifeguard Service and life saving instructor, water safety instructor. So I worked in aquatics for years. So I have a ton of first aid training, but I haven't taken a specific gun safety stop the bleed class. I could, but
I know I'm working on it right. Wow. I'll get there eventually because I was looking at Avert myself. I think they're more so like they train you to stop the bleed, but at the same time they also train you to deal with a on-site threat, like an active shooter.
see
So
that I
they
don't
tell
know
you,
anything about.
mm,
I competed in fitness in uh, life saving competitions where we would compete against different countries, paramedics versus firefighters versus lifeguards and versus police, and we would go into these fake scenarios where there'd be 40 victims from a barbecue explosion or 40
geez,
victims from a car ramming into a shopping mall, and we would have to go as in teams of 3 and assess the situation and heal as many people as we can, save as many as we can. And those were really dope scenarios, but we've never had to deal with an active shooter situation.
mm,
So that would actually be really, really interesting for me because I love triage. I love being that person who can get my hands dirty and help people. I love saving lives, one of my favorite jobs. But um, what to do when there's still an active shooter, I don't know what I would do. My knee jerk reaction would be to ignore the shooter and just start saving people, and I'd probably get
I
shot.
I don't like the basic thing they tell you to do. It's like you either run, hide, or fight. Okay. And they're like, you fight with what's available. And if you're in an office environment, you're picking up like the red stapler and you're like, just nah, I don't I believe it could be better. Especially since for the most part they tell you to call 911 and like try and provide quote unquote some type of help to the victims if possible.
Yeah,
But not everybody has a medical background or is like willing to go to a what's it called? The not the American Red Cross, but the Red Cross first aid classes or just to learn how
yeah,
to stop the bleed from their local hospital. Because in my case, I went to being in Atlanta, I went to Grady Hospital, and they have stop the bleed classes for free. You didn't have to pay anything.
nice. I love that.
Yeah, they're willing to train people. It's just like you
Yeah,
said, you got to take advantage of it.
I've been in nightclubs where there's been an active shooter, um, where my first aid brain kicks on, and I've walked into the room where the gunman is to get the my colleague who's working and like pull them to safety, and I don't realize what I have done until after it's happened.
Yeah,
There've been, I think, only 2, maybe 3 times in my life where I've been in a bar where there's been shootings, and I don't know why I think I'm invincible, and I hope I always am, but it's always after the fact where I'm like, I walked into the area where the bad was happening, grabbed the waitress or the dancer or whoever, and hauled them back to safety without even thinking. And it's probably a flaw of mine because I'm not putting my own safety first at all. And if the one person who knows first aid gets hurt, then we're all hurt. but but um but yeah, taking a class where they really could dive into like the nuts and bolts of that would be really, really interesting because I'm still the idiot who will walk into gunfire because somebody's hurt. Because I've been trained in Canada where we just don't have guns. So, you just go towards the hurt person. And um there's times in my life where I was working first aid and I did things I knew I wasn't supposed to do because it would save the other person's life. Like I've gone inside a rolled vehicle and like spinal clamped somebody because they're starting they're starting to pass out and they can't communicate and they're visibly broken in multiple places. And I was like, okay, we need to keep your head and neck safe till we can get you out of here in a way that we can save your life. And as soon as the triage team shows up, they're just like, why the fuck are you in the car? Were you here when it rolled? And I was like, no. They're like, what did you do? I'm like, climbed in the sunroof. And they're like, you couldn't do that. And I'm like, well, I did. And they're still breathing. So
Right.
it's shit that will get me in trouble. Absolutely.
Mm.
It goes against all the rules. But at the end of the day, when that person needs, I mean, back in the day when we did AR, when artificial respiration is not a gun, when that was still policy, like you breathe for someone when they need to have air. And that was more important than being in a vehicle that might roll again. I was like, oh, well, if it rolls, at least I'm conscious enough to roll with it. And they were like, now there's 2 victims. That's their point of view, is now there's 2 victims. And my point of view was like, I can save this one person and I don't really care if I get scruffed up. So that's the opposite of what they teach you. But yeah, I think it's the same mentality I have when I hear gunfire, I walk towards it. I'm like, who's hurt? Who needs me?
Mm.
So there's a really weird video of me on YouTube where I'm sitting talking to 2 friends and there's a car accident behind me. And you see me turn over my right shoulder and be like, yeah, okay, I'm coming. And I get up. And I swear I was talking to somebody who asked for help. There's nobody there. And I just get up and I walk towards the car accident and assess the situation, help people who need help. And in the YouTube video after the fact, I was like, who was I talking to? Who did I respond to? When I looked over my shoulder and was like, yep, I'll go help. And I leave my food on the table with my wallet. I get up, my friends stay seated. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's okay, I know first aid. And I just walk into the car accident. And it's a crazy moment in time, but my life has been like filled with those kinds of moments where like, that's what I do. And once again, it can get me in so much trouble. Like I'm the idiot that will walk into a burning building to pick somebody up.
Do you have a book yet? Because I mean,
I should write a book.
you got time.
I got time. I got nothing but time. I just wrote a children's book last week, but it doesn't have the good stories in it. But yeah, like I think that when we're learning about guns, we need to learn about the first aid that comes along with it. And when we're learning about, everyday carrying, we need to learn about active shooter situations. Like these
Yeah.
things all kind of go hand in hand, and only knowing how to do one part of the situation could actually make you, it could potentially put you in a more dangerous case. So it's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility, and it's badass, and it's fun, and I love it.
Well, I mean, I'm really enjoying the conversation. I know you got stuff you probably got to do. On that note, I'm gonna have to let you go. You know, want to like, because I mean, write the book, lady. Please write the book. I want to read the book.
All right,
Got so much to talk about.
all right. There's so much. There's so
Look,
much.
look, if I need to, like, I don't know, Amazon drop you a notepad so you can start writing stuff down and like doing a chapter. Like, I just need the book. Need the book.
I gotta write my memoirs before I get much more dangerous.
There was a time. Never forget about the time I stopped a tank with my bare hands. But that'll be for the next book.
I've done that yet.
Can you just let everybody know where they can find your social medias at, or how to get in contact with you if you got a website, you know.
So I have Pretty Straight Shooter, which is my Instagram with all my shooting stuff on it. There is a Pretty Straight Shooter YouTube with nothing on it yet. I'm building that. PrettyStraightShooter.com has been purchased and built. It's just not out yet. It's going to be just a really like female centric, supportive weapons place and stunt place. But I still don't know if there's much of that out there yet. I'm also the Samantha Mack _ on Instagram, which is my main channel, which is mostly, modeling and acting and stuff like that. All that, stuff that we don't want to, that boring girl in a bikini stuff. And then my best friend in the entire world is Talk to Mrs. Claus. So she might look like me. She's not me, I swear. But Talk to #2, Mrs. Claus has a website, an Instagram, everything, a TikTok, a Twitter. She is very busy come Christmas and July, straight through the holidays. Please follow her. She's a good, sweet lady. She's very old, but she's funny. So Talk to Mrs. Claus. That's the one we want to push and promote. Tons of charity work, tons of holiday specific stuff. She is a badass woman. From the North Pole, of course. She, Santa Claus goes through his list once, twice. Mrs. Claus goes through it thrice, and she saw that a lot of Southern California just wasn't on the list, not on the good list and on the bad list. They're just not on the list. So she's infiltrating California and helping out with charities and different events from Christmas in July all the way up until Christmas. Just infiltrating the Californians out here and kind of teaching them how to be back on that nice list in time for Christmas. So she's a fun person to hang out with. Please follow, talk to Mrs. Claus. And for all the gun stuff, it's just pretty straight shooter.
Awesome. Well, hey, once again, I really, really appreciate you for doing this. I know we had some crazy stuff going on to even get to this point, but hey, I'm glad it all worked out. And thank you for your patience again. And like I always tell everybody who I interview, you're always welcome back if you want to come back.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So we'll keep in touch, okay?
All right, thank you, love.
All right, bye.
Bye.
This the Black Powder Podcast, let's get explicit. We got the wisdom hitting targets with a marksman precision. We're having fun in the booth, we're running gun for the truth. Every future black gun owner, we're spreading the news. We do illegal, we're moving regal and blessing the people. Some hopes for the culture, we keep it locked like guns in our holster. Holding it down as we're loading the rounds. If they were nervous back then they're gonna be scared of us now. Black Powder Podcast, we'll be back in a while.